Good evening.
I want to dedicate this year for a Fuhr Shalema to my friend, Saul Mitgang. And I point his picture on the screen over here because he's a friend that I've been learning with for the past 15 years, once a week. And he's not well. He's 102 years old. And I will point out to you that he is the oldest survivor of Auschwitz that's living today.
Wow.
And from the earliest prisoners of Auschwitz. And I point to his number, as you can see on the screen. His number is 76459. He was the 76,459th prisoner in Auschwitz. And Auschwitz at that time is not the same Auschwitz later. I mean, it was the beginning of the war. It was much more intense. But if you notice, and what he always points out is 76 is the gematria of 76 is 13, echad, and 459 is 18. Echad chai, one will live. And so when he got that number, he always felt that he's going to survive.
Amazing.
Wow. I remember him from Share.
Right.
I used to daven next to him. He's a chazan.
Yes.
Is he affiliated? Is he a family with Charlie Mitgang?
That's his father.
Oh, okay.
So
now,
Charlie,
I used to cover for Charlie when I was a young buck, when I first started out in medicine.
Oh yeah.
At St. John's, and sometimes another hospital. I'm talking about like 100 years ago.
So yes, this is Charlie. So during the shiur last night, I saw a message. I peeked at my phone here, and Charlie was calling me and telling me that his father is in the hospital. And
okay,
we'll see what happens. I mean, he's 102. So long live. Okay, here we go. We are holding Daf Lamed Dalet Omud Sheni, and it's to be pretty straightforward daf, although some of this stuff is maisrus. And as we've seen often, that the Gemara, when it comes to Zroyim and Taharis, the Gemara will draw it out a little bit, simply because there was no Gemara on Seder Zroyim or Seder Taharis. So just to refresh your mind here, the Gemara had a question. The Gemara had a question is that if you have figs, let's say you decide to throw it into a let me call up the picture over here for a second. Combined 30. 1 second. Hold on. Yeah, this picture. You have you have figs in front of your house, right? Right over here, and basically it's not nigmar malachtoi, means he still wants these figs to dry out, to have dried figs. And so really, if he would snack on these figs, there would you wouldn't have to give trumas maisrus on it, because it's a snack. It's the middle of the process. But what happens if he says that I want to use some of those figs on my Shabbos, during my Shabbos as a snack or whatever, during my Shabbos meal? So does that automatically, by saying something like that, you're going to use it for Shabbos, would that obligate now trumas maisrus? Or you can argue and say, but at the end of the day, it's not a finished product, so therefore it's not chayiv and trumas maisrus. That was the question. So that was a question of Rav Nachman, and Rav Nachman said that I think it is chayiv in trumas maisrus, because Amma Mazutra bereid Rav Nachman. Mazutra, the son of Rav Nachman, we are about like 7-8 lines from the bottom. Amma Mazutra bereid Rav Nachman. He said he's defending his father, who said that if you're going to say this is Shabbos food, you're mechayiv maisrus, because afanam nami tanina, we learned it in our Mishnah. V'oid Amar Rab Lazar. Rab Lazar said, Oimid Adam al hamuktzah er Shabbos b'shvius. The Mishnah said that when you can stand er Shabbos, Friday afternoon, on the muktzah. Muktzah is those dried figs that's in the process of drying out, and say, you have to say that this is what I'm going to eat tomorrow for Shabbos, and then on Shabbos you could eat it. Now, the Mishnah explains that the difference between Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim is Rabbi Eliezer says you can say, I want to eat from somewhere in this box, basically, And Rabbi Chachamim say you have to say precisely which figs you're going to eat. But then the next day you could eat from those figs because it's Shemitah. And Shemitah, Erev Shabbos B'Shvius, let's say this coming Friday, right? Is we're in a Shemitah year and it's Friday. So on Shabbos, you're not going to have to do anything else because it's not muktzah anymore. It's food that you actually prepared for Shabbos, and you're not going to mechayev in Trumas and Maasros. So therefore, the Mishnah says you can eat those figs on Shabbos. So now he's making an inference. Why did the Mishnah say the example is Erev Shabbos on Shemitah? Tama the Shvius. The whole reason why is because it's Shemitah. The Shabbos is Shemitah. Like this, coming Parshas Noach, it's a Shemitah Shabbos. That's why you can eat from those figs on Shabbos. The La Bar Isurihu, because no Shemitah products are Chayiv Maasros, so you can eat it on Shabbos. Ha b'shar shnei Shavua, if it was another type of year, not the Shemitah year. So even if you said that you're going to eat it for Shabbos food, automatically, since you're setting it for Shabbos food, it's going to be Chayiv Maasros. So you would not be able to eat on Shabbos because on Shabbos you can't take off Trumas and Maasros. So hachanami da'aser, it would be aser. So we see a clear proof that setting something as Shabbos food automatically obligates you in the Chiyuv Maisa. My time allow mishum the Shabbos cover because Shabbos makes it obligation in Maisra. So the Gemara says, "Law, not so." Shana Hosam over there, it's different. Kivin the Oma Mikan ani Oichel Amacha Kavale Ilave. So the answer is that it's not the Shabbos that's making it obligated in Maasros. The fact that you're saying, I'm going to eat this food with your words, in quotations. You say, I'm going to eat this. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're verbally saying, I want to eat this food automatically says, okay, the process is over for the fruits that you want to eat. That means you're not waiting for the completion of the process of drying. You want to eat it semi-dried. So therefore, that automatically obligates you in Maasros. So the Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the Chiddush, my area Shabbos. Why does the Mishnah say it has to be talking about a Friday, even a regular day? I feel it b'chol nami on a weekday. You say that you're going to eat from these fruits, obligates you in Maasros. What is the chiddush that the Mishnah catches on that it only works by Erev Shabbos by Shemitah, but would not work by Erev Shabbos on a regular year? So Hakamashmalam. It comes to teach you the tevel muchan hu eitzel Shabbos shim ava v'tiknu metukam. What it's trying to tell you is like this: once you say that you're going to eat from this food on Shabbos, so you took away the muktzah, you made it into food that you're going to eat. So if it's a Shemitah year, then tomorrow Shabbos you don't have to do anything; you can eat it. If it's a regular year, like we said, you would have to take off maasros on it. But what would happen if somebody took off maasros on it, took it off by accident on Shabbos? He went and was mechal Shabbos to Rabbanan and took off maasros on it. Then you would be allowed to eat it, because really minat Torah you were allowed to eat it. It's only the Rabbanan you were not allowed to take off maasros. So the Mishnah is teaching you a chiddush that b'di evet, if you did do it, it would work, and that's why the Mishnah comes on and says lechatchila on Shemitah you should say this and this I'm going to eat. On each other year, it would not work. But if you happen to have said that and somebody took off Trumas and Maasros on those fruits on any other year, you would be allowed to eat it. So what the Gemara just got through saying is that it's not that Shabbos obligates you to Maasros, not that you're thinking about that you're going to eat it on Shabbos and automatically becomes Shabbos food. It's because you said mikan ani oichel lamochar. When you verbalize it, that makes it obligated in Maasros. So the Gemara asks, the Gemara says that I'm gonna explain it when we see the case. But what the Gemara is going to say right now is Rabbi Eliezer, who Rabbi Eliezer, he holds that even if you do an action, will not obligate you in Maasros. In a case, where if you would have leftovers and you would be able to return it to the box, Rabbi Lezer says it's not obligated to Maasros. Rabbi Lezer is of an opinion that if you take fruits out of that box, out of that drying box, we find somewhere else that as if you eat a little bit and throw the rest back because you didn't finish, you're not taking it anymore. The ones that you eat doesn't have to give maestros, because that's an indication. The fact that you could throw some back is an indication that you're only snacking. You're not making a big meal out of this. So therefore, the Gemara is saying, like in a Kal V'chomer, if madach, that if you do an action, Reb Lezer holds that you're not obligated to maestros. Certainly, if you verbalize it, certainly you would not be obligated to maestros. That's what the Gemara is saying. We find Reb Lezer that says, when you can return the leftovers back into the box, loikova, you're not obligated to maestros. The Tanah, look at the case. He takes olives from the vat, the vat that prior to you taking it to the vat, you put it in a little carton, and that just makes it soft so that you can crush the olives. But so the process definitely is not finished until after you crush the olives and make oil. So somebody started munching on some zaysim from this matan. You could just take one olive, which are very bitter, and dip it in salt and eat it. And there's no problem with that, without giving off maestros. Just because you're dipping it in salt, it's a real snack. The im toval v'nosan lefonav asora. But if you dip them all into salt, and let's say you took 10 out of the box, you're chayev in maestros. Once you put a whole bunch in front of you, so then you're showing that you're making a real meal out of this, though it's not a snack, you're obligated to maestros. Comes along Rabbi Lezer and says, no, minamatan Torah chayev, minamatan tamei potter. It depends. If the box is tar, you're chayev, or if the box is tamei, you're potter. Because you can return the extras. That doesn't make sense. So the Gemara is going to explain what Rabbi Lezer means to say. What does Rabbi Lezer mean? That if the box is tar, then you're obligated to meiser. If the box that you took the olives from is tamei, you're potter for meisers. What's the difference? The Amar Rabbi Roy says, Reisha b'matan tar b'gavra tamei. The beginning is talking about where the box was tar, and the person himself that took out the olives. So if you took out 10 olives, let's say, from the box, and you're tamei, so then the loy motza mahadalei, since you cannot return those olives that you took out back into the box, because as soon as you touch the olives, they become tamei, and the rest of the olives in the box are tar, so you're not going to return them. Therefore, you establish that you have to eat all that bunch that you took in front of you. So therefore, your kaveya, you made it into a big meal, and therefore you're obligated to maestros. Seifa, at the end of the maestros brishna, but matan tamei v'gavri tamei matzim hadale, where it's the box is tamei and the person's tamei, where you're going to return the extra. So Rabbi Lezer says, just because you took a bunch out, and you decided to eat like 3 or 4 of them and then return the rest, the 3 or 4 that you ate was a snack, and therefore you're not obligated in Trumas Maasros. So what the Gemara means to ask is, Rabbi Lezer is very lenient in establishing what obligates you for Maasros. Sometimes even if you do an action, does not obligate you in Maasros. So certainly by verbalizing something, it's not obligating you in Maasros in our Mishnah. So what is obligating you in Maasros in our Mishnah? In this case, what's obligating you? It's the fact that Shabbos, you're saying it's Shabbos food. That's what's obligating. It's not because you're going to say you're going to eat it. It's the fact that you're establishing for Shabbos. So we see from here that Rabbi Lezer must hold that Shabbos obligates you for Maasros. So the Gemara says, no, maybe not so. Maybe our Mishnah is talking about the olives, the figs in the drying out are tar, and the person is tamei, so he's never going to return it. So the Gemara says, but our Mishnah is not talking about you actually even took it out. Even it's prior to you taking it out. They're always there. You didn't even take it out. You're just verbalizing that you're going to eat it. So Ella Amar Rav Shimi Barashi. Here's the point. Rav Shimi Barashi says, Rabbi Eliezer Ka'amrit. We're going to say Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer always holds that that Shabbos obligates you for Maasros. Rabbi Eliezer is different. Rabbi Eliezer l'tamei. Rabbi Eliezer goes according to his reasoning. The Amar, he says, Truma kava, kolshkein Shabbos kava. That Truma obligates you for Maasros. Certainly Shabbos will obligate you for Maasros. By saying it's Shabbos food, that certainly. Where do we see that? It's now we learned in the Mishnah. Perish shetramim ad shaloi nigmar malachtam. Fruits that you said, let's say you have peaches, and you said, and they're drying, you want to make dried peaches, but you said, you know what, might as well give off truma from these fruits. As soon as you said that, then you're obligated to maasros. According to Reb Lezer, by the fact that you're giving off truma shows that you don't care so much about finishing the process, and therefore Reb Lezer oiser lechem and arai. You aser to eat arai, any snack from those fruits, and therefore, just like taking off truma obligates you on maasros by saying that this is going to be Shabbos food, or the fact that you're going to, even if you didn't say anything, the fact that you're going to intend to eat it on Shabbos, it makes it automatically obligated in maasros. The Chachamim matirim. The Chachamim say it's aser. So what the
Bernard,
Gemara?
can I just ask you one question?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Sure.
So I was confused. Yesterday, I thought the three Tanaim, the three conditions of not giving maasros was one Shemitah year. The second would be if the process is not complete. And the third would be if you intend to eat it food for Shabbos. So you're saying basically right now, this is machlokas, even if the process is not complete, okay, if you say I'm going to eat it for Shabbos, you have to give maasros on it. Is that correct? Were you saying in a regular year?
Yeah. So let's get the klal. You're correct about 2 out of 3 items. The first thing is that you're correct that if it's davar shaloi nigmar malachtai, if you didn't finish the process, you're not obligated to maasros.
Yeah.
The other condition is that even if it's finished, it's an apple in the tree, right, and it just fell down on Newton. You're not obligated in trumas and maasros because it has to come to your home. It comes to your home. Now, if that apple in the field, you said, and it's still in the field, didn't come to your home, you said you want to use it as Shabbos food, since it's a complete apple, you're not doing anything more with it, by saying, or your intention is to use it like the tinokas, that the children that hit the apples in the field to come later on Shabbos to eat it. So the fact that it was set for Shabbos food obligates you in maasros. What we're just
so I was confused. Okay.
So now we're in the between. You're deciding for Shabbos food that something that the process was not completed. Would Shabbos be so strong to obligate not only apples in the field, but the figs that are drying out? Would it be obligated because you're using it for Shabbos food? Obligated to an maasros? According
to Rabbi Elazar.
So very good. So according to Rabbi Elazar, yes, but Rabbi Elazar is not the one that we paskin like. So it's not good to have a Tana like Rabbi Elazar on your side. You want to have the Chachamim on your side. So the Gemara says, Tashmami Seifa, even the Chachamim technically agree with Rabbi Elazar, because the Chachamim say that on Erev Shvius, on Erev Shabbos Shemitah, the only difference between Rabbi Elazar and the Chachamim in our Mishnah is Rabbi Elazar says all you have to say is Mikan ani noichel, well, somewhere in this box I'm going to eat. But according to Rabbi Chamim, you have to be more specific. But the example is the same example. According to the Chachamim, you have to designate from here and here I'm going to eat. These figs, these are the exact figs that I'm going to eat. So you can have the same inference. The whole reason why you can eat those figs on Shabbos is because the Erev Shabbos b'Shvius. The La Bari Surihu, because it's not Maasros. You don't have to give Maasros in Shemitah, so it works. Ha b'shar shnei shvuai, but in any other year, the Bnei Isuri Ninu, you'll have another step because you'll have to give Maasros off of it. Asurim, those fruits would be Asur, even according to Chachamim. Why? My time at La Mishum the Shabbos Kava. Because the fact is it's because you're not you're saying, but it's because it's going to be part of your Shabbos meal that automatically makes it an obligation for maasros. So what we see is that even the Chachamim would hold that something that the process is not complete, if you eat it on Shabbos, it would automatically be obligated to maasros. That's what the Gemara.
That would be exactly like what Rabbi Elazar says.
Right. So, but the Gemara says, "Law, not so." Chachamim don't necessarily have to ascribe to that. Why? Because Shani Hasam Kevin the Oma Mekan Vatkan and Yoichel Amacha Kavale. According to the Chachamim, the fact is that you're saying Mekan. You're saying you're verbalizing that I'm eating it. You see, if there's a difference. If you just have in mind to eat it for Shabbos, could be it would not obligate you in Trumas and Maasros. But because you verbalized it, that obligates you. Because you said, I'm going to eat it, that the verb, the words coming out of your mouth obligates you on maasros. And the Gemara asks the same question. So then why does our Mishnah discuss the conversation of Erev Shabbos? Even during the weekdays, according to the Chachamim, let's say on a typical Wednesday, if you say Mekan ani yochel, the Mishnah should say, Chachamim should say that you're not allowed to eat it until you give off maasros, because if it's the words that are doing it, so who cares if you say it on Friday, or if you said it on a Wednesday? So the Gemara says, "Hakamashman." This is the chiddush of the Mishnah. The tevel muchen hu eitz Shabbos shemav v'tiknu mesukin. The same idea, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that we answered before. That the idea is to teach you that if on Friday afternoon you said mikan v'ani yochel, right, on a regular year, so you took off the muksa problem. But the problem is that when you come Shabbos, you would have to take off trumas and maasros. But you won't be able to eat it because you can't take off truma, maasros, and Shabbos. But if somebody took off b'diavad trumas and maasros, then you would be allowed to eat it, because what the Chacham is saying, a side rule, that the fact that a fruit item that you could not take off trumas and maasros because there's an Issur D'Rabbanan does not make it muktzah. So if someone was mechal Shabbos and took off trumas and maasros, you could automatically eat it, because now there's no problem of muktzah on something that's not taken off maasros on. That's what the Gemara says. That's the side chiddush of the Mishnah. So the bottom line is, Rabbi Eliezer will hold Shabbos, because Rabbi Eliezer is very lenient. What makes you strict? What makes it obligated maasros? Rabbi Eliezer holds Shabbos makes it trumas and maasros. Chachamim are not necessarily. They hold that the words, but not Shabbos, makes it obligated maasros. So Rominu, the Gemara just asks a question, a side question on Rabbi Eliezer. Again, Rabbi Eliezer holds that Shabbos, as soon as you eat something on Shabbos, automatically you chayiv a maasros, even if it's not a finished product. The fact that you're going to eat it on Shabbos obligates you in trumas and maasros. If that's so, the Brisa says, you're eating grapes, a cluster of grapes. Now, most Concord grapes are generally used for crushing and making wine. So you're eating an unfinished product, right? And you're going from the garden to your house eating grapes, these unfinished grapes. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yigmar, you could finish it. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Lo Yigmar. He says, don't eat it, because now, as soon as you brought this unfinished grape home, he holds that even if it's unfinished, you're obligated in trumas and maasros. As soon as you enter your front yard, you can't eat it finished grapes anymore. Now comes another idea. You never went home. You stood out in the field by the grapes near the wine press, okay? And you started munching on those grapes. Choshcha b'leilei Shabbos, and let's say it got dark outside. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yigmar, you could finish it on Shabbos, because at the end of the day, even though you're eating it as Shabbos food, you're not chayev in trumas and maasros, because you could finish it, because it's an unfinished product. The finished products for these grapes generally are wine. So Rabbi Shua Omer Lo Yigmar, don't finish it, because Shabbos automatically obligates you in trumas and maasros. So what do you see from here? A stira, a contradiction. Rabbi Eliezer says that you could finish
on himself,
right? Rabbi Eliezer to Rabbi Eliezer. So how could Rabbi Eliezer tell you that you could finish it on Shabbos? Wait a second. How can you eat it on Shabbos? It's Shabbos food. It should be obligated in Meiser. And that's Rabbi Eliezer opinion. And the Gemara Hossam Keduktani time. You have to, over there, it doesn't mean that you finish it on Shabbos. It means Friday night, you stop eating it. But what he means Yigmar is finish it after Shabbos. That means don't eat it on Shabbos as Shabbos food. Finish it after Shabbos. Rab Natsan Aimer, like a Shama Ragleza Yigmar B'Chatza Yigmar. Rab Eliezer never meant you could finish it in the courtyard and finish it, or the Yaitzer Chutz L'Chatz of Yigmar. V'loi, this is the point. Like a Shama Rab Eliezer Yigmar B'Shabbos Yigmar. When Rab Eliezer said the word Yigmar, he didn't mean finish it on Shabbos. Because if you're eating it as Shabbos food, Rab Eliezer holds it's obligated in Trumas and Maasros. Ela mamtim l'matzah Shabbos, you wait to matzah Shabbos, the Yigmar, and then you finish it. Now, this is very different than the kids. You see, remember the kids' case, with the apples in the field, the kids over there that hid apples in the field, they said they were going to eat it on Shabbos. So there, since they designated as Shabbos food, matzah Shabbos, nobody is allowed to eat it. because the kids already could have the power to designate it a Shabbos food. So even if they didn't eat it on Shabbos, much of Shabbos, you can't eat it because you're obligated in Trumas and Maasros. Here, if you stopped eating it, so you never designated it as Shabbos food, so much as Shabbos, you could finish it off. So that's not a contradiction anymore. So Rabbi Lezer is saying, don't eat it as Shabbos food. New Gemara, and the Gemara just wraps it all up. The Gemara is going to basically say that something that is not a completed product is never obligated in Trumas or Maasros. That's what the Gemara says. Ki asa Ravin Rabbi Yochanan. When Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael and he learned by Rabbi Yochanan, he said, Echet Shabbos, whether Shabbos, Echet Truma, or if you give off Truma off this unfinished product, Echet Chotzer, or if you brought it home unfinished, Echet Mechak. Well, let's say you bought an unfinished figs. You brought in the middle of the process. You bought the figs that are being in the process of drying out. You bought it. Kulam ain't koivin. They will not obligate you ma'isros. Ella only bedava shenigmar malachtan. Only something that is the process is completed, then you're obligated to Maasros. Shabbos, how do you know why did he tell you Shabbos, that Shabbos does not obligate you to give off Maasros from something that's not completed? So la puke mid Hillel, to exclude Hillel, and of course Rabbi Lezer, because Hillel we're going to see also holds that Shabbos obligates you if you're using it as Shabbos food. You're not allowed to, you can't eat it until you take off Trumas and Maasros. The Tanya, this is supposed to be Hamave Paris Mimokam Lamokam Liktzar. You're carrying fruits, let's say peaches, from place to place. Liktzar means not to cut it, but Liktzar means to dry it out. So then it's the middle of the process, the Kodesh Aleim Hayom, and then it became Friday night. So can you eat from those peaches that you set aside to dry out? Rabbi Yehuda, Hillel Atzmei Oyser. Hillel himself aser those, you can't eat it. So Hillel went with the opinion of Rabbi Lezer. In fact, Hillel is even stronger than Rabbi Lezer and holds that even if it's an unfinished product, Shabbos would obligate you. If you use it as Shabbos food, you would be obligated to give off Maasros. That's why he said, don't take from that fruit. And that's a chiddush. Rabbi Yochanan says, we don't paskin like Hillel, because normally we do paskin like Hillel, and here we're not going to paskin like Hillel. We go to Lamed Hey Amid Sheni. Chotzer, if you bring it home an unfinished product, Fukim with Rabbi Yankov. That now we learned in the Mishnah. If you bring home to your front yard figs that you're going to dry out, you're going to dry it out in your front yard. So it's an unfinished product. Everybody can eat a snack on it and potter from meiser because the process is not finished. But Rabbi Tana Allah, Rabbi Yaakov Machayev. Rabbi Yaakov says that you're obligated to give off Trumas and Maasros because it's in your front yard. But Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Paita, so that's what Rabbi Yochanan is teaching you. We do not paskin like Rabbi Yaakov, we paskin like Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda. Truma, let's say an unfinished peaches or unfinished figs, you decided to give a little off Truma, you're still not obligated to give off Maasros. La puke mid Rabbi Lezer. This excludes Rabbi Lezer. Now we learned in the Mishnah, Perish Traman Achaloi Nigram Malachtam, Perish that you gave off Truma prior to the finished product. You decided to give off Truma. You have, again, those dried figs, and you decide to give a little of the figs off for Truma. Rabbi Lezer Oyser. Rabbi Lezer says he can't eat it anymore without giving Maasros to the Levi and the 10% to the Ani. Rabbi Lezer says, Lechem and Arai, to eat a snack is no more permitted. The Chachamim say it's mutter because at the end of the day you didn't finish the process. So we don't paskin like Rabbi Lezer. That's the chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan that Ravin came to tell us. And the final chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan is mekach. If you buy something, an unfinished product, right? You bought it off somebody, and it's still in the middle of process of drying out, you don't have to give off maasros. It not obligates you on maasros. That's what it says. Halokeach te'enim ha'aretz. You bought figs from ha'aretz. In the place where most of the people are going to take those figs and press them and dry them out and make them into cakes. So the din is you bought it from ha'aretz, oichem and arai. You can eat a snack from it, and when they're finished, they're obligated, they're maasros, you have to give off maasros, but only a suffix maasros. Really, you don't have to give off maasros because you bought it off a Jew. And we could assume that the Jew gave off truma. Most amaratzim, even though they're not learned, most of them would give off maestris. So you give off maestris, you just do you go through the motion of giving off maestris, but you don't have to give it to the Levi. You just say 10% is going to the Levi, and then you keep it. But Shema Mina Tlas, we see three things from this Mishnah. Shema Mina Mikach Eina Kavas El Bedovash Nigmara Malachtoi. A sale, buying something, does not obligate you on Trumas and Maestros only if the process is completed. Ushma Mina Roiv Amayaretz Masrumhe. The fact is that most of the Amaretz give off Maestros. So when it says that when you finally finish the process, you give off, you go through the motions. You ma'aser it as demai, as as a doubt, but you don't have to give it to the Levi. That proves that most Amaratzim did give off maestros. So really, min haTorah, you're potter, because we could assume the person that you bought it from gave off maestros. Ushma mina maestros demai amaretz afilu b'davish le'ignig malachtay. You could assume that the Amaretz gave off maestros even prior to something that was not completed, because you would think that the Amaretz himself maybe knows that it's not obligated in maestros until the process is complete. So why would he give off maestros prior to the end of the process? No, we say that there are most Amaretzes, once they know they're obligated in giving maestros, they'll give it even before the process was complete. So we can assume that this Amaretz that you bought it from not only was part of the roiv that gave off maestros, even though the item wasn't complete. But the point is, you see that even if you buy it, as long as the item is not complete, you can eat a snack from it. You can eat from it. It's not tevel because the process was not complete. And who holds that the obligated? From a Mishnah. Someone who transfers or barters fruits for his friend. I'm giving you peaches, you're giving me apples. I'm going to eat it right away, and you're going to eat it right away. Or or you're going to, dry it out, and I'm going to dry it out. Or one, we're trading each other. You're going to eat it, and I'm going to dry it out. This brisa says chayev. This anonymous person says chayev, because as soon as you barter it, automatically you're obligated in maestros. That is the opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lecho chayev. Only if you eat it right away, then you're obligated in maestros. Liktzois, but if I bought it or bartered it from somebody and traded it, then I'm potter. I'm potter if I'm going to still dry it out, because just because I bought it doesn't obligate you in maestros. So basically, what Rabbi Yochanan taught us, and Ravin brought this teaching back to Bavel, was that the process that was not finished, really, you're not chayiv in trumas or maestros. As long as there's another step to complete the process, you're not obligated to give trumas or maestros, and you can eat snack on it. And technically, you could eat a full meal on it. Just Rabbanan said you should only eat a snack. Hadron Allah Hamevi. Baruch Hashem, we ended the fourth parak. We only have like 4 dafim left, basically, for the Masechta. We begin Be'ez Hashem, the 5th parak. Just a few lines here into the 5th parak. Mashilim. Okay, here's the picture. Let me just make you the picture. The guy has fruits on his roof. Maybe he was storing it there. So, and it comes now a rainstorm on Yom Tiv. So he's allowed to go up to the roof and just drop those fruits down the skylight. But the chiddush is, because dropping fruits down the skylight is, all you have to do is kick the fruits into the skylight and it drops into your house. But you're not allowed to lift them up and put it through your window. Very strange Mishnah. Why do you think that's just so? Why can't I lift it and put it into the window over here? That's too much bother. So certainly on Shabbos, you can't do anything. If you're going to lose money because it's raining on your fruits, Shabbos, no deal. You have to lose the money. On Yom Tiv, so we allow you to kick it down the skylight, but you're not allowed to bring it through the window. That's the one thing that the Mishnah is going to say. Okay, and then the Mishnah is going to discuss 2 other things. The Mishnah says, Mashilim Peris Derech Aruba. You're allowed to drop the fruits through the skylight. Yom Tiv, only in Yom Tiv. Well, not on Shabbos, because in Shabbos it's too much of a bother. On Yom Tiv, we allow you, if you're going to lose money, to start kicking the fruits down into your house through the skylight. Let's say in those days, I mean, if it started raining into your house, so you're allowed to cover the fruits. Let's say it started raining into your house, and you have fruits on the floor. and it's raining over here. So you're allowed to cover it with a cloth, with a towel or something like that to protect the fruits from getting wet. So that you're allowed to do. And this you're allowed to do even on Shabbos because it's not such a big bother. Even barrels of wine and jugs of wine and jugs of oil. Again, even though it's not such a big loss, if it rains onto these jugs, you're still allowed to cover it. If you're nervous, you're going to lose money, even on Shabbos. And you're allowed to put, if it's raining into your house, you're allowed to put a bucket to catch the water that's falling into your house on Shabbos, like it says, like here in the picture, but only if it's clean water. If it's water that technically you could use, it's not muktzah water. If it's like sewer water, right? So then I don't think you would be able to do it because as soon as the water fills up the bucket, now you're making the bucket muktzah, and you're not allowed to make something muktzah on Shabbos. So that's what the Mishnah says. So we'll finish with what the Gemara just wants to say. The name of the parak is called Mashilin. Mashilin means to drop the fruits through the skylight. But there are other people had different names for the opening of our parak. Itma we learned. Rav Yehuda, Rav Nosson, Chatani. One had our version in our Mishnah Mashilin. The Chatani Mashchilim. That the word our Mishnah, our parak starts off Mashchilim, which both means the same thing. So the one that said that the parak begins mashilin is not making a mistake, and the one that says it's mashchilin is not making a mistake. The one that said our parak begins mashilin, right, is not making a mistake because the word mashilin means dropping in. When your olives will drop, that's the word yishal, and mashilin mean dropping in. Man the toni mashchilin lemishtabes, because the word mashchilin also means dropping. The time we learned in the Mishnah hashachol v'hakosel, and the word shachol means shenitma yerechai. If it dislocated, they're talking about trephis of an animal, and its thigh was dislocated and fell below. Kosel shed miyachis gavoya. But the word shachol means dropping. It was dislocated. So mashchilin could also be the opening of our Mishnah. And finally, Rav Nachman says, Omer Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, Man the Toni Mashirin la Mishtabish, Man the Toni Mashchirin la Mishtabish. He said you could even have the opening of our parak Mashirin, and somebody says Mashchirin. No mistake over there because each word Mashirin and Mashchirin both means dropping in. Mandatoni manshirin lo mishtabish, mandatoni mashirin lo mishtabish. Tanam, we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel says, Nazir lo yachif roishay ba'adama. He's not allowed to rub his head into the ground, but neshameisher es haseir, because he's causing hair to fall out. Oh, so the word meisher means falling out. So we could call our parak mashirin. Mandatoni mashchirin lo mishtabish. The one that called our parak mashchirin, because the word mashchirin could also mean falling. That's now we learned in the Mishnah. And the word shachar means a razor blade that causes the hair to fall off. When you cut, it causes the hair to fall off. So shachar can mean also falling. And then the final word that we could call our Mishnah, the word mashir means if your clothing became soaked in water, nashru means your kalev means your clothing, and nashru means it became soaked in water. You could walk with them, and you don't be concerned that people are going to say, "Oh, you washed your clothing on Shabbos." What's called leket? Hanoisher, something that falls, when you're cutting, a fruit that falls when you're cutting it is called noisher. So the bottom line is that we called our parrot mashilin, and mashilin means to drop fruits through the skylight. Some had the version mashilin, some had the word mashchilin, some had the word mashirin, mashchirin, and manshirin. All these things are like synonyms that also mean dropping things, and each one had a different version of what our parak begins. So just a little semantics.
We don't usually have that kind of stuff.
I know, like so many words and an argument of what everything was set to memory. That's the problem, and because it's memorized, so they forgot what was the real word in the Mishnah, and so the Gemara discusses that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Shkoyach, thank you.
Shkoyach Baruch.
I'll get the
Thank
knock,
you.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Good enough.
Good night.